Multiple people shot in southwest Oklahoma City. Let's go live right now to a news conference where we're learning more information. We're going to go there here in just a moment. They told me just to take a couple seconds, so let me catch you up to speed. What we have last heard, and again, we're about to get new information, at least 4 people shot, maybe more. This is in southwest Oklahoma City, southwest 25th and Meridian, in an area with a number of bars and restaurants, hookah lounges in the area. Several shots fired, a huge response from Oklahoma City police officers. Dozens of units there showing up there, lining Meridian. This just a mile or two north of the Oklahoma City airport, south of the river, south of I-40, as you see right there. We have our Zach Rael at the scene. He's waiting to get more information from Oklahoma City Police Sergeant Eric Long, we're told is there. And again, IMSA requested multiple units out there. We know that there were multiple ambulances that Zach saw leaving that scene as he was driving up to it, driving in the direction of OU Med. We had one of our reporters stationed at OU Med as well. She said that she saw a number of ambulances arrive at OU Med. That is a level 1 trauma center, not too far from where this shooting took place. We don't know exactly where this shooting exactly happened. Again, we are expecting to get some more information here. And now we're going live to Zach Rael and, again, Sergeant Eric Long with more information.
Hey guys, yeah, we're getting ready for that press conference right now. Oklahoma City Police PIO just giving us a bit of a rundown of what took place. He's getting ready to do that actual press conference here in just a minute or so. But again, as we can see, we're still seeing multiple law enforcement officials here on scene right now. We're getting some more information. That police officer just gave us some more information. I can confirm right now that at least 2 people are dead from this incident. We were told that a total of 3 people have been shot. Apparently this stemmed from some sort of an altercation that took place. The initial call came in at about 11:08, and again, we're getting ready for that press conference right now. Sir, are you ready to begin?
I am.
Okay, just so you know, we are live on air right now on KOCO.com. So again, can you just run down exactly what took place?
Sure. Approximately 11:08 p.m., officers responded to a shots fired call here at the Cush Dispensary. They were having some type of a what is referred to as a Cush party here. Involved numerous people inside the facility. Some type of altercation broke out. Several shots were fired at that time. Right now, what we know at this point is we have 2 confirmed deceased victims, 1 male, 1 female. We also have 1 female victim that is in critical condition that was transported to the hospital. Right now, officers, this is very early in the investigation. There's numerous officers on the scene right now. Multiple people are being detained as witnesses and potentially a suspect, depending on how everything plays out at this point. Right now, again, it's very early in the investigation. Our homicide detectives are en route out here as well, and hopefully we'll have some more information to update you soon.
You said possibly 1 suspect, possibly in custody. Do we know how many people might have actually fired?
We do not at this point, and it could be more than 1 suspect that's in custody. We just don't know that. It's so preliminary right now.
Do you know whether the shooting took place inside the club or outside?
The only thing that all the beginning information is showing that the altercation started inside and did transfer outside. So there were shots fired that were outside as well.
And were the 2 victims found outside the club itself?
The only one I know for sure at this point is we have 1 victim outside, and the second victim, I'm not sure of the location of her.
Were they deceased at the scene, or were they deceased at the
We have 1, it's actually going to be both victims that we know that were confirmed that were deceased at the scene.
Was there somebody down to 7-Eleven?
I believe that's actually a different altercation that occurred. At this point, I don't know enough to be able to tie that together.
Do we know the injuries of that person who was taken to the hospital?
Yes, it was looks to be a single gunshot wound that was through and through.
And we see you.
In a scene like this, it's obviously you got so many people, so many witnesses, so many people milling around. How hard is it to investigate a scene like this?
It's very difficult. As you can see at the scene here, there's numerous people that were involved in this. Officers are doing an outstanding job of getting the witnesses in cars and trying to keep them from talking to each other so that we can get a good, solid story and understand what actually happened on the scene. But yes, you are correct. It's very difficult.
So possibly one suspect in custody right now?
It could be numerous suspects. We just don't know. It could be more than one at this point. Right now, I'm going to say that they're going to be detained right now as witnesses until the information tells us otherwise.
And again, we see a lot of people here that you guys are talking to right now. Were all of those people inside of this club?
No. What you're seeing back over here on this side is it does appear that most of these people were involved, and as this happened, multiple people started to show up as well. And that's part of the difficulty of the scene, is to determine who was here at the time of the incident.
And you said it was that Oklahoma Kush?
Yes, sir.
Seeing, police tape going down pretty far here, how big is the scene that you guys are looking at right now?
Well, right now, because of the way that this incident looks like that it played out, the scene's going to be fairly large. There was a suspect that ran from the police as they tried to detain when they first arrived here. So there are multiple firearms that have been located. So we're trying to expand the scene to make sure everything's covered.
Can we just get your first and last name?
Yes, it's Eric, E-R-I-C, Long, L-O-N-G.
Sergeant?
Yes.
Sergeant, is that the building right there that's in blue?
Yes, sir. There is no sign on the building itself. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Yeah, I
much.
appreciate it
You
so much.
betcha. You betcha.
The one next to the tattoo shop.
Yeah.
All right, that was Zach Rael right there interviewing Sergeant Eric Long with Oklahoma City Police. Let me just recap here. This was a deadly shooting. It sounds like 3 people were shot. 2 of them are dead. 1 man, 1 woman, described as a male or female, so they could be younger. There was also a female in critical condition right now, shot with a single bullet that went through and through, meaning into the body and out the body. So the bullet is no longer lodged inside. That person taken to the hospital. This happened, again, at what you're seeing here. This is Kush Dispensary, having a Kush party, where there was a number of people inside. There was some sort of fight that started inside. It spilled outside. A number of gunshots were fired. As you just heard the sergeant say, they don't know how many shooters there were, how many shots, but he did say that they found a number of guns up and down that entire area. And that is why they've made the crime scene so large, saying that as it played out, people ran, people scrambled, dropped weapons in different places that they found. And now he says a lot of people are just showing up and they're having a hard time just kind of keeping control of the scene a little bit, trying to keep all those witnesses who may be suspects. They don't know, but a number of people are detained. And it may end up being that the actual shooters involved might be in police custody right now. But right now, they do not know. Again, as we wrap up here, 3 people shot in southwest Oklahoma City, just a mile or 2 north of Will Rogers World Airport on Meridian. 2 of those people are dead. A male and a female, and a woman is in critical condition.